Business Week, Young Tech Entrepreneurs 2011, Silicon Alley 2011, 2010, Top 100 People in New York City Tech. Now, all good, amazing. You're obviously getting the credibility. I'm curious.
It doesn't mean shit, though. It really doesn't. I worked my ass off in high school and college and saved some money so that, you know, one day I could do something, right? And so I took that money and invested it into building the software in those early days. So what I was doing is I was building that software and then putting it in front of all those conversations and be like, this is where I want to go with it. Is this helpful for you? How would you tweak this? And so it was basically like MVPing with hundreds of customers, right? And we recognized that there was an opportunity for software to have a presence in this space, right? Mm-hmm. And so we looked at that time, it was 2010, where we said, you know, we need to be able to accelerate this from a speed perspective. We need venture, we need a network, right? Okay. So my co-founder and I, Josh Warham, who I worked with at Beanstalk, we applied to Techstars and we got into Techstars in Boulder of 2010. And that was great for, I think, a couple of reasons. One is, like, again, back to network. Like, it just elevated you into a whole new atmosphere of people and relationships. But it set you on a very defined course, which is get money in 3 months. Like, get funded in 3 months, or it's going to be harder, right? And so, like, we set out very specific milestones that we knew we needed to hit in order to go up on stage at demo day and be like, we've raised X amount of money, right? And so we were able to do that. And so once we did that, we started going and hiring a team and building out the software.
Is that what set you apart? Because you have to demo in front and you need to get selected. So is it those milestones?
So David Cohen, who started Techstars, was basically like, you guys are the first founders to come in here that don't have any software experience. Which was like, we were nervous because, like, we're in this room of like a bunch of really, really talented software engineers, and we're just like, we're two marketing hustling guys. We're gonna figure it out, but like, we don't have anything. Yeah. And so, you know, we got lucky in terms of building relationships in the team that we were able to put together that allowed us to start building software during that time. And go up on stage and be like, here's what we've done. And, you know, we raised, I think it was just over $1 million in venture before demo day, which was pretty rad. To go up on stage and be like, we don't need anyone else's money. Like, we did it in the last 3 months, which was great.
Business Week, Young Tech Entrepreneurs 2011, Silicon Alley 2011, 2010, Top 100 People in New York City Tech. Now, all good, amazing. You're obviously getting the credibility. I'm curious.
It doesn't mean shit, though. It really doesn't. I think, like, at the end of the day, what we should be celebrating are people that go build great businesses that have an impact on the world and on consumers. And those lists historically were built around, like, who's hot or not in raising venture money. Like, who gives a shit about how much venture money you raise? Like, everyone cares, like, how good of a business can you run?
What's the revenue, right?
Like, are you going to be there tomorrow without venture dollars? And so we recognize that early. It's like, those things are great, they're cool, they're massively helpful when you need to raise more venture, right? And so those are, like, important things to be involved with. But they're like a blip on the radar in the sense of, what do we need to be focused on? It's about building a business. It's not about, like, recognition. And it's why we went quiet for many years, because we were like heads down on building a business.
We talked about the network before, expanding your network. Techstars. I'm curious of, like, that New York City tech ecosystem and how you kind of navigated it. Probably maybe Techstars helped you out a little bit with that. But, like, what is that, and how does someone navigate that New York City tech ecosystem?
I think there's a lot of great people in this world. And so many people are willing to give you time if you approach them in the right way. And I think that approach is critical. Sure, are warm introductions meaningful? Absolutely. Like, don't get that wrong. But I also just think being honest and transparent about, like, hey man, we're playing in similar fields. I want to be able to sit down and get to meet you and start to build a relationship and learn from you. Like I literally just did that with somebody yesterday. They're an agency. I reached out to them. I said, listen, I know you, like I know your space. I love what you've done as a company. Like I'd love to be able to just meet and like talk shop for an hour. And it turned into like an hour and a half, 2 hour conversation. And so I think like you can't be scared of reaching out to people and wanting to get time with them. Right. But you have to just do it in the right way. And I think everyone's willing to give you time if it's managed and treated in a respectful process, right? And so like, you know, I remember early on just being like nervous about like, oh my God, I need to go meet with this person. I got to reach out to this person. But like, we're all just fucking humans at the end of the day. And like, we all want to be working with people we love to work with, excited about what we're doing every day, and like making great work, right? And so like, I just think that like there's this aura around people and titles and positions that's just bullshit because we're just humans. And so like put that all to the side and be able to just go sit down and have a conversation with somebody. And that's when like people are like, man, I like that guy. I like that person. She's got great personality. I'm impressed by her confidence. Like, let me see how I can be supportive, right? That's what I think we wake up for every day is to be able to help, right? And I think the same about like our employees. Like if any of our employees ever leave to go start a company, which like a few have, that's the coolest shit possible, right? Because it just means that we gave them a foundation and a network and an education about like what does it take to run a business. And like all of those people that have gone and done that, like I still stay in touch with and try and help and advise and make introductions because like that's what our responsibility is, you know?
Going back to the people, the culture that you're creating, I have here on your website, you have entrepreneurialism is at the core of everything we do. Explain, please.
Yeah, I don't understand how people work at a business without understanding how the business works. And so we just think it's so important that everyone in our company understands what we're doing, how it works, how we make money, where we spend money, how we lose money, like all of those things. I want everyone to understand that in the life cycle of a business, right? Because at the end of the day, the more they know about how this business runs, the more they're going to be, the smarter they're going to be about how do they have an impact on what we're doing, right? And so in those early days, you know, before we were profitable, it was like, we want everyone to understand where we're spending money. Right. So people have a level of respect in thinking about how do they use resources most effectively, right? How do they not just go hire a person without thinking about what's the role that person is going to go into, what impact are we expecting? How do we give that person the structure that they need in order to be successful?
Empower them.
So much was about that, right? And so I think that's a big driver of like, how do we think about the team here and the culture that we're building? Yeah. And that's the point I made about like, when they go on and start another company, that's fucking awesome, right? And so it's a lot about career path and structure and support and just thinking about like, how do we make sure that they come here and they learn as much as possible? Because they're going to be great in returning that to the company, and they're going to be great in returning that at the next company they go to.
Yeah.
Like that's the responsibility we want.
Right. I was talking to a few of them before.
Yeah.
Alyssa, I believe.
Yep.
And she was showing me the rubber duckies that you have.
Yeah.
In the town hall.
It's a really great story.
Let's talk about it.
So every year we do town hall, which we get everybody in the company, we fly them in, and we did it here in the kitchen in January. And we basically lay out like, what did we accomplish this year? Where did we struggle? Where are we at in aligning with the company goals? What are we trying to do in 2019? We go through our financials so everyone understands the business, you know, bottom up. Wow. And what we did this year, which is really great, and so Eric Justison, who's our VP of engineering, has been with us since the start, had this great idea of like, how do we create more engagement in the town hall? Because like, listen, we've had town halls every year for the last 10 years. Where it's like, all right, guys, any questions? And like, no one raises their hand, right? And like, that was when we were 4 people. That was when we were 10 people, and then 15 people, and 20 people, right? And so we were just like, how do we get people to be more involved? And so one of the things that Eric did, which is great, is he went and bought like 200 rubber duckies. And
custom.
Yeah, like they're designed and like they're like
There's a Rambo rubber ducky over there.
It's really strange, man. And so what we did is we said, listen, ask your question anytime in the middle of town hall, and like we're gonna give you a rubber ducky. And so like we just kept throwing rubber duckies out to everyone in the crowd.
Yeah, collaboration.
And like it was great for a multitude of reasons. One is because like it created a return and a reward and sort of an engagement process. Two, because some people here that were throwing the duckies aren't that athletically oriented, so like they're hitting like 3 people over from the person they were supposed to throw it to, catch it to, you know.
Takes all types.
And so like some people were like bouncing off people's foreheads. So it was like just this like really entertaining way of getting engagement and making sure that like everyone understood and was able to get involved in what we're doing.
Right. That's cool. I like that.
Trust, confidence, transparency, like clear communication. You know, one of our core values is details matter. Like, I can't stress enough about how important it is that the work you put forward is right. I don't care, like, if the client wants it at Thursday at 6 p.m. and you send it wrong because you rushed it by Thursday at 6 p.m., like, that's just the wrong way to do it. Send it Friday at 9 a.m. when it's ready, right? And so we really focused on get these things right because it's the way you represent yourself. It's the way you build trust. Like, I'm not going to trust you if you send me an Excel spreadsheet with a bunch of errors in it.
Yeah.
The next one you send me, I'm going to be a little concerned about it.
Yeah, now you're wasting your time.
Right? So, like, I think it was a bunch of those principles that helped, right? I think so much of the success of our growth and our revenue is certainly a combination of the technology and the people that are here. It's also, listen, man, we are incredibly grateful and proud of the brands and the agencies that we get to work with every day.
Right.
Like, if anything that we can do is to help support their business and to help grow their business, like, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
And so we're grateful for the brands we get to work with, and I'll tell you, like, we've produced thousands of media campaigns, and everyone here still to this day, when they see a media campaign on the street that's ours, like, gets stoked, right? And like, that's the fun of outdoor in many respects is you get to see your campaign come to life. So I think a lot of it just comes down to, like, there's no question, like, we worked our ass off. The team has really pushed hard, and so we reward them for those things, right? But if you take care of your culture and you take care of your people, they produce great work, and they do a great job for clients. And so, like, I think that's the core, is make sure that you have the right team with the right focus. And that focus is going to change, it's going to get blurry, like all of those things. But make sure directionally you know what you're doing and you're communicating that. Because the second the team isn't sure about where they're going, like, they're lost. And like, that's leadership's job to make sure that they don't ever get lost in what they're doing every single day.